Good morning, everyone. It's morning here, and I thought I would share with you my new journal. This is a big one. It has 3 signatures, and there are 118 pages, and if you count both sides, that's 236. And this is a beautiful old book I found at a thrift shop. It was a children's book with lots of stories about fairies and gnomes and fairy tales, Mother Goose. On the cover, you see there are 3 fairies and a little Cupid and a little girl, and it's just really charming. The other thing I liked about this book was the inside cover, which had these beautiful illustrations. They were kind of torn because this book was really old and falling apart. I think it's like early 1900s sometime. But I managed to get this all kind of glued back together, and the back one is different, and I glued that together right there. And then I reinforced the spine with some craft text, and I just added some decorative stitching to it. Found a vintage button that I really liked for the closure, and a piece of stretch lace threaded through a hole with an eyelet. So here's the first signature. Each signature I covered with a page from a different fairy book I have. It has the colors and the watercolor illustration style. It's really pretty to me, but the pictures in that book some of them were kind of inappropriate. So I sort of worked around that and used parts that looked okay. All right, you'll see in a minute. So this page has 2 pockets. This pocket up here has a little Alice in Wonderland tag with some ruffled parchment paper. And oops. And this one is a collage tag, some old scrapbook paper on the back, and just this little boy. There's a piece of German scrap. Cute little pictures. And I love this trim. That's a ribbon. And so that fairy book that I used this paper from was about, excuse me, how a little girl would catch fairies inside the book, and they got smashed. So lots of tea-stained paper. I'm using a different tea now, and I like the way it's coming out. It's a lot darker and richer colors, and I made a lot of these little corner embellishments, kind of. Made a bunch of those, so I used those on a lot of the pages. Tea tag, and just a little bit of fiber in there too. Lots of stitching. See how that tea stain came out. And this is a page from the original book, a little story about a little girl and her dog. And I bought some of those 7 Gypsies parchment rub-ons, and I really liked them. I used quite a few in here. And this little dog actually looks a lot like this dog. And this is an image from Alice in Wonderland also. I did a lot of heat embossed stamping with clear embossing powder. I like the way that looks. It just kind of has that watermark look that shows through. And excuse me if I cough a little bit. I'm recovering from a cold and bronchitis, so excuse me. So this is a tag I made from a scrap of that paper from the book, the fairy book. So a little pocket here with some art prints in it that have children theme. And this is a little flip out for extra writing. Neat picture from this book called The Young King. I have some of this decoupage paper with gnomes that you have to cut the pictures out very carefully, but I really like them, and I used quite a few different ones in here in my new gnome stamp. And this is a double pocket with a picture that I've used before. I just printed it out. And in this pocket, a bird card from a set that I have. More heat embossing. This is an envelope that was white. I tea stained it. I really like the inside of it. I just put a tag, collage tag, and an old photo of a little boy and his teddy bear, 1955. This is a nice illustration plate from an old book. Has a little bit of water damage. Another old book page. An Alice in Wonderland book, which I like this book because all the text in it looks like handwritten. This is a German children's book. Some of these pages cracked when I folded them, so I used some tissue that I glued on just to give them some reinforcement. This is from a book I have called Adrift at Sea. It's I think from the late 1800s. The whole book looks like it was handwritten, and it's a bunch of different quotes, and it just has beautiful illustrations. It's a gorgeous book. These are really thick pages. Another book from the German children's book, or page from that book. One of those rub-ons, the 7 Gypsies. There are 4 different sets, and I got all, or I think there are actually 5 or 6, but I got 4 of them. It's kind of a nice picture of the Rose Hips Fairy. And another gnome picture. And there's the rest of that envelope with a page from a flower book that I just recently found, and a little picture of some children. This is a mermaid tag I made, and this is from a little kids game. Another heat embossed stamp of a shell. This is from, I think, from this book. It's very old illustration of the 3 bears. Here I took a page out of an old math book that was actually almost falling out anyway, so I just kind of left it rough and raw-edged, glued it down with a little pocket sewn on. some tea stained paper for writing on. It's a story about a little donkey that runs away, and so here's a picture of a boy on a little horse. Just some extra writing paper. Another one of those pictures from that fairy book. Tag I made. This tea stain paper got pretty dark. So I layered paper doilies in between some of the pages of my tea stained paper, and then I let it all sit for about 30 minutes before I started taking it out and baking it. So it left a nice imprint of the doily. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. This page had a tear here, so I mended it with a piece of tissue paper, and on this side also. So there, so you could see one of the doilies I layered between pieces of copy paper, and it left this print and an area there where it didn't even get any tea on it. Certificate from an old scrapbook I have. It's the Better Baby Show, 1937, Grass Valley, California. It's got the original seal and ribbon on there. I had to be careful about not putting too much in these envelopes because the bulk of this book, there just wasn't room to add anything much more that was bulky. The Age of Innocence and the Sackville Children art prints. I thought that came out cute. The German page from the German Reader. A tag and an old photo. This is an envelope pocket. Chinese flashcard, Little Sister, and another old photo. There's Glenn, age 9. That's a sticker. This was from a Boy Scout calendar. A little bit about the different ranks of Boy Scouts. There's a little pocket I made from a peanut bag that I tea stained. So we have a tag here with this little boy walking into the sunset, and some of that glitter tissue is Just behind, it gives it a little sparkle. And then inside the peanut bag is a pair of solar eclipse glasses, because we had a solar eclipse here last summer. And then a heat embossed picture of the sun. Very, very sparkly. The white clover fairy. Those are stitched on. And just some extra writing space. Piece of stationery folded in half, and I just actually put a little line of glue down the side there. Two pieces sewn together. That's some of that Tim Holtz wallpaper. Some writing space here, just several pages of writing paper. There's the rest of that doily. Santa Claus and a Witch. It's a story about Mother Goose from the original book. It's a little collage tag with a piece of doily and a die cut, a couple of die cuts. On the back, a piece of doily also. There's a page from that fairy book. I mean, the pictures in it were so beautifully drawn and painted with watercolors, very fresh and loose looking. I really liked the way they look, and I just had to kind of work around some parts of it. This is one of those self-affirmation cards. I have a whole set of them, and I like to put one in each of my journal. This one is has a message about children. Some lullabies. Another one of those pocket envelopes with a witch. And one of the Chinese flashcards. This one is summer in Chinese. More of that Tim Holtz wallpaper. It has a nice feel to it. I don't really like using it for collage. It's a little too thick, but makes nice pages. There's a little envelope I stitched up. It has a tag. Just a little tag inside. I didn't want to put too much in there because I didn't want to add any too much extra bulk. Got to leave a little room for people to add their own stuff. Another fairy. Boy at the beach. And this envelope, this is a promotion certificate. This came from one of my old scrapbooks. It's 1948. It's actually the same little boy that was in the Better Baby show. So this was 10 years later. Really like my tea staining results this time. This was a pink doily that I layered between some paper pages, and you can actually see a little bit of the pink showing through there. A little tuck spot made out of some collaged parchment paper. A little tag with a paper flower on some Tim Holtz paper. A little extra journaling space. Some old children's illustrations. Some more of that pink doily. Birthday card. There's actually a space inside here to put something, but I didn't put anything in there. This is an old photo that's pretty faded. The little tag inside. Humpty Dumpty. Old postcard. There's one of the smashed fairies. And there it is, the end. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long, but it was